Hey, it's Amy, and thanks for joining us for our next episode of Water Me Wednesday. I am very, very excited to be joined today by Stephanie Harris, who is a registered dietitian. She is here to teach us a little bit, even those of you who eat really healthy. I think I do too, but I've learned a lot, especially having a child where you can't get them to eat the things you want them to. It's sort of like husbands.
Yeah.
You have to really start with the Brussels sprouts with a lot of bacon and slowly wean that back. But she's gonna give us some pointers on getting your kids to eat healthy, but also you submitted some questions. So she's gonna answer some of those. So Stephanie, let's start with the questions, and then we can kind of weasel our way into the other great things that you have to share with us. So Stephanie is the mom of 2 young boys and is
in
like
the thick of it.
In the thick of it, but like mom goals.
Yes.
Seriously, she is like, you're so fantastic because I always love the activities and different things you do with your kids, which give me ideas, and she inspires me to do things with mine because I make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. My creativity is stack them.
Yeah,
and that's where we have it. End of story.
We can do a makeover for the PBJ. I mean, so even simple substitutions with real fruit instead of the jelly, you know, with raspberries and bananas, and even just changing the shape of the sandwich or using a different bread can make it a makeover into something unique and different. And I think, you know, we don't have to overthink it to be creative.
I like it. Thank you. I'm done now.
Okay, there you go.
She's like, all right, I'm done. I'll be out here. So one of our reader questions, which I thought was really interesting, what are the 3 best vegetables to eat? And this is from an adult, about an adult diet.
Yeah, you know, and thank you, because vegetables, I think, are so underrated. They can be delicious if done well and enjoyed in a variety of ways, especially when you put, you know, a flame to it. It just totally changes the texture and the sweetness of it. I don't like to think about them in individual like vegetables. I think about the color wheel, and I think about, okay, do I have red, and whether it's fruit or vegetable, I kind of lump them all together. Do I have something red, something green, orange, yellow, and purple? Because they're all going to have different functions. There's totally different antioxidants inside of those, even differences in the bell pepper. Yeah, they're the same vegetable, but a green is going to be extremely different than orange and red, flavor and nutritionally. You know, not in terms of, yeah, they'll both have vitamin C, but the red has lycopene, which is really great for our hearts, you know, and, you know, so that's kind of my rule of thumb is aim for 5 a day of fruits and vegetables. And if you
combined or 5 each?
I kind of think a total. And, you know, if they don't eat veggie, don't sweat it. Let them eat the fruit in the same color spectrum. So you can swap, you know, a carrot for an orange, you know, it's in the same color wheel. And when I think about 5 a day, I think about, okay, what are my opportunities throughout the day? So if I serve 1 to 2 vegetables or fruits at each meal, you're going to make your goal. And then you have the opportunity, if it wasn't consumed, at snack time too. So
what's a serving for a child versus like an adult?
Yeah, that's really good. So for toddlers, it's a really good rule of thumb to do 1 tablespoon for age. So 1 tablespoon for 1-year-old, 2 is 2 tablespoons, and so on until you get to, you know, about, you know, 5 or 6, and it can be a 1/4 cup, 1/2 cup serving.
I can count tablespoons.
Yeah, tablespoons are pretty.
I don't have to do
simple.
fractions.
Yeah,
okay, I like this.
Also with vegetables, I always leave a bowl of fruit or a fruit option. So if they decide they don't want that veggie at dinner, they can reach for the fruit. So it gives them some autonomy, some choices there without you slaving away. So raw fruit's always available.
I like this.
Yeah.
I like it. And I like not being a short order cook as well.
Yeah, don't do it, because once you start, it just doesn't seem to end, and you really end in like food fights versus, you know, trying to provide a balanced meal, which is all what we want to do, right? At the end of the day, we're just trying to do our role and be good parents and provide them with good meals.
So speaking of balance, I mean, talk to me a little bit about Halloween candy, because I know parents get like super upset about Halloween candy. I personally, like, you know, sometimes you have candy because you have candy, you have ice cream, like life goes on. You're gonna have to go to a birthday party.
Right. And I think it's this whole thing about you know, sugar consumption. And I think, you know, we're just gonna have to realize it's one day. Halloween's actually one day. Now, I realize we get a ton of candy on that day, but we can strategically sprinkle that through with meals and snacks the weeks and days to follow. You know, it doesn't have to be consumed ad libitum. So you still get to decide when it's being served and what is being served on the plate around it. But they can decide, you know, I think if you restrict, they're just going to be real sneaky with it and probably more obsessive with it. And you're going to get the mom, 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 mom. Not that you're already not going to get that, but, you know, I just feel like you know, there's a happy medium here. We want our kids to not be scared of sugar. We want them to realize it's just food too. And how you present it is with the whole meal together, not by itself on a pedestal. Like, here's your candy, you know?
I like that. I think that's really good.
Yeah.
Okay. So the other question we had come in, was actually this came in a couple times. What's the best breakfast? And this is from an adult perspective and a child perspective as well.
I love that because a lot of people I realize don't consume breakfast. That's often one of the most skipped meals. And if you think about the word breakfast, it's breaking a fast. So we're coming in off a fast, not eating. And so it's the best thing you can do for your metabolism. So first of all, just good job for eating breakfast. Secondly, you know, again, let's try to add a fruit or a vegetable. You can veggie your breakfast. There's a lot of ways to do that. And we've talked about some ways earlier. But in terms of breakfast, you know, I think the old-fashioned toast, now not just butter and jam, but you can be really creative with that. You can put a nut spread on that. So peanut butter, banana, little chia seeds. We call that sprinkles in our house. I just have it like in a salt shaker instead.
Oh,
and
smart.
they think that's fun, you know. You could do avocado with some tomato and egg, boiled eggs, pretty convenient. But, you know, even spreading yogurt and doing fresh berries. And if you want to do some color with some herbs, you can do mint or basil, you know. I think toast is pretty simple. We talked about obviously smoothies, but also if you want to kind of vary that up a little bit, and if your child doesn't, you know, wants to actually like use a utensil, you can make smoothie bowls, which is just the liquid ratio. So you would use you know, obviously less liquid to make it thicker, almost like a yogurt consistency. And then, you know, if you're in the ballpark of, well, we're into really sugary cereals, my recommendation is to like wean back and maybe have like a cereal bar where you mix different cereals. So maybe you do pick a high fiber, lower sugar mixed with a little topping of, you know, Captain Crunch or something.
That's cute.
Yeah. So
Count Chocula for our Halloween fans, right?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so she brought, real quickly before we dive into our final two questions, Stephanie brought some stuff because if you've seen things, there's different cutouts and different things you can do for your kids. And I didn't know how the heck I was going to start finding how I'm cutting things into stars.
Yeah.
So she has these tricks in trade for us.
So first of all, one thing to understand is that kids learn in color and they also eat in color. So if you're trying to make a green bean stand out on a plate, think about the visual appeal of it. And so, you know, a complementary color would be pairing it. And I love these silicone muffin cups because toddlers also,
this is really smart.
Yeah, like their foods generally divided into individual food groups. So that way they can decide if they want to mix and match. And, you know,
it's great for portion size.
And it's great for portion size. They're easy to clean and the colors are fun. And also you can take a, you know, just a basic sandwich container and all of a sudden it becomes, you know, a hybrid of all different kinds of foods.
I love this.
So yes, if you're trying to introduce a new food, manage your expectation. It's probably not going to be eaten the first attempt. The real win was for them would be to touch it even, or accepting it even on the plate, not throwing it off the plate in a tantrum. So that's even a win. And so the progression generally looks like, you know, ignoring the food to touching the food. And that's where this can come into play. So just getting them comfortable and learning about describing the food. Oh, it's round, or if I cut it, it's in smaller shapes and sizes. So we use these a lot too.
Amazon,
and there's letters, there's numbers. So you could be, it's really purposeful play. It's an activity. While let's say you're really kind of making dinner, you can say, here's a few carrots. Why don't you make some carrot puzzles with them? And so we'll do coins and then they're putting the shapes back in.
I like that.
Yeah. So it's a great way to introduce it. And there's a fun factor to it. Like I introduced cherry tomatoes, which are still, my kids are, I always say learning to like. We don't say dislike or like. We're just like, yeah, you'll like that when you're ready. But, you know, fun little eyes, just just make them smile. And I think that's the thing is we can still play with our food. And I think as long as it's purposeful and the toys aren't distracting them from eating, but they're engaging them with the meal, that's a great idea.
I think what we might have to do is follow up with Stephanie for a tailgate treat on a Friday, and then you can give us the little links to all the different cool places to find chopsticks. And these are a huge hit in our house, the tractor utensils. But maybe we'll have you give us some kid-friendly stuff, and we'll sort something out. So stay tuned for that. I'll make sure we get her doing
this.
This
is a good one for broccoli when you're just like, can you move the forest or can you water the trees with soy sauce? You know, different things like that really make them engaged. And you know, if they have a job to do, they're more inclined to like get in there, and really sensory play is the beginning of food exposure.
All right, and now we have 2 rapid fire questions for you that we ask everyone.
Okay.
If you were an athlete, you would use this as your at-bat song. Maybe you were a boxer and you're headed out to the ring. This is the song, your hype song. What is that song that you listen to? Maybe it's a morning jam to get you out of bed. Maybe it's like it comes on the car, you're having a bad day, you like turn that song on. What is that song?
Okay, so I'm totally gonna show my age, but I'm a 90s girl through and through, and so I generally will kind of go to that Spotify in whatever mood I'm in, depending on what it is. Oh my gosh, I was rocking out to something the other day, and I was like, I'll probably listen to this on repeat all week. Let me get back to you.
Okay,
I'm really bad at names, you guys, but I know the music. I usually sing the music, not the lyrics, by the way.
Yeah, we have definitely bonded over our love of, is it Too Short? Who was our...
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that's another conversation.
Something love song in the 90s. I think it starts with an I. Okay.
I'll put it in the notes.
Okay, yeah.
And then
we'll get back to you.
Last, but certainly not least,
yes.
3 people dead or alive that you would want to have dinner with.
Okay. So table talk is very important. I am a big Real Housewives fan. That is my guilty vice. So I want to know the real deal. So I'd probably sit Andy Cohen down and do an interview with him.
That'd be great.
I think he's really interesting. And in that Bravo world, I really do like Tim Gunn. I know he's kind of the Project Runway guy, but he just seems so joyful. Like, I think I'd giggle a lot.
Yeah.
I know,
for sure.
anybody that's energy giving.
And you'd also be like, am I sitting properly?
And I'd be like, what about this outfit? What about that outfit? And where do you buy your stuff? I feel like a makeover show would be, I would like that as well. I really like Kelly Ripa too. I think she's interviewed a lot of interesting people, and I think she would have a lot. And Mark Consuelos, all those. I think that would be kind of a fun one to shoot the breeze with.
You guys would have that same energy. It would be a very vibrant conversation.
Yeah, I would hope that we would look like sisters or something.
I could see
They're
that.
like, oh, is your sweet younger sister in town? And I would be like, yeah, that's me.
Yeah, thanks. Here I am.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. I just happened to be visiting Long Island.
Exactly. I'll be back.
Well, with that, okay, tell people where they can find you on Instagram. And then Stephanie has you have 2 or 3 accounts that you really like on Instagram for kids food as well.
Yeah, so I'm, just follow me at Steph Can Harris. So Cannon was my maiden name, so I've got to plug that. And then I would say in social media, I love anything with kids food exposure. I think as adults, we also learn a lot through those as well.
Absolutely.
And so that nutritional education is just really good for the family. So there's Kids Eat in Color, there's Food Exposure Dietitian. I think there's a couple dots in there. And then anything with intuitive eating. I think that's really, the goal isn't to raise healthy children. The goal is to raise confident eaters. And confidence means recognizing and being comfortable and choosing a variety of foods unapologetically. And I think that's really the food relationship piece. So don't sweat if they don't eat the actual meal, they don't eat the actual food. It's a long game. Think more food relationship. And sometimes what we do as parents, generally it's a delayed response. They might accept these foods as a teen or, as an adult. I'm sure there's foods that we rejected as kids and now we're like, oh, I love this food. And so we just don't want to taint the mindset, right? We want to encourage the curiosity. And just in general, if you don't know what to say, at mealtime, I usually say don't say anything at all. Let them. And I have to say this, the division of responsibility, if there's anything I can give anyone advice on mealtime stress, it's parents, you get to decide what's being served, when it is, and where. And then kids, whether and how much. And if you own your role, let them own their role, trust them, honor their bodies, honor their independence. And it really does take it from stress to success over time.
I love that. Well, with that, cheers with our lemon water.
Yes.
Water.
Here we go. Natural vitamin water.